Republican U.S. Senate candidate Mike Rogers says his campaign is built on faith, family, and freedom. But new reports from the Detroit Metro Times shows the faith leaders who he's surrounded himself with are straight up bigots who have some pretty extreme ideas. This is So What Michigan, where we check the receipts, connect the dots, and remind you that in politics, the company you keep usually tells the real story. Here's the deal. As part of his 2026 Senate run, Rogers launched something called a Faith Coalition Leadership Team. And according to the Metro Times, that team is stacked with hard-right pastors and activists who have long histories of opposing LGBTQ rights and spreading election fraud lies. One of the most prominent names on Rogers' new faith team is former Michigan Civil Rights Commissioner Linda Lee Tarver, who has repeatedly pushed back against statewide efforts to extend civil rights laws to protect LGBTQ people in Michigan. In a Facebook post, she also once wrote that LGBTQ rights are a godless, demonic, satanic, and wicked agenda of the devil. Tarver isn't alone here. Another coalition member, Pastor Lorenzo Sewell, has reportedly preached that LGBTQ rights undermine Christian teachings.
God hates pride.
In June, he warned that extending those rights would superimpose sexuality on our culture and called it an abomination. Pastor Brian Ford, also on Rogers' team, leads a church that labeled homosexuality a sexual perversion and unbiblical, and opposed gay marriage as unacceptable in the eyes of God. And this all lines up neatly with Rogers' own record. During his time in Congress, he repeatedly voted against expanding federal protections for LGBTQ people. More recently, he's also criticized protections for transgender students and spoken out against trans kids playing sports. It's not just anti-LGBTQ rhetoric either. A bunch of these folks also tried to overturn or delegitimize our elections, with a healthy dose of racism to boot. Tarver once claimed that black people are more likely to commit election fraud. She also petitioned the state Supreme Court to seize ballots and ballot boxes in Detroit and block the certification of the 2020 presidential election, later joining a failed national Republican lawsuit to stop Michigan's electors from certifying the results. Another Rogers Coalition member, attorney Alexandria Taylor, was involved in a lawsuit that claimed, without evidence, that there was wrongdoing in the 2020 election. She even cited the debunked conspiracy film 2000 Mules as evidence. Sewell, who stumped for Trump in 2024, also told lawmakers there was systematic voter fraud in Detroit.
Who is that political murderer? His name is election fraud.
And claimed we don't have fair elections. We're like China. And State Representative Luke Meerman, who has also been flagged as an election denier, is on the same team. So what? Well, when reporters at the Detroit Metro Times asked Rogers' campaign about all of this, his team tried to wave it away, claiming he had thousands of volunteers over the years, and there's no way for him to know every view of every volunteer. But here's the thing, this isn't some random guy handing out yard signs. These are people Rogers handpicked for his Faith Coalition leadership team. The folks he's now counting on to mobilize people of faith across Michigan and help sell his America First vision. If your core faith advisors think LGBTQ rights are demonic, satanic, and wicked, and push conspiracy theories about stolen elections, that's not an accident. That's a choice. And if Mike Rogers wins this race, those are the voices he's bringing with him to the U.S. Senate. Hit follow. I'll keep connecting the dots.